staying in LCS is pretty much everything to us. If we can't win at relegation, we also don't really deserve LCS.
We are pretty prepared to do a best of 5 against Huma. We played against the best team in Europe, so I think we have the highest chance to win.
Our chances to win are pretty high for now.
This is the moment where I have to show that I have the LCS level.
We have been screaming, we have been practicing, and it's the best possible outcome for a team being together this long.
This is going to be the game. Giants have got minions onto the Nexus Toad.
Yo creo que ahora estamos más fuertes que anteriormente.
If we play our game, we can beat any team.
Hello and welcome to day 2 of the 2016 European Summer Promotion Tournament. We're coming to you live from the LCS studio in Berlin, Germany, where there are 2 spots in the League Championship Series on the line. Hello, I'm EpicSkillshot here with Origin support and 2015 World Championship semi-finalist Mithy and our very own Martin de Fischolunge.
Oh.
Yeah, not you. Well, whatever happens, Mithy, you always will have that World Championship semi-final and the other World Championship attendance with the Lemon Dog, so pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, it actually sounds good when you fit in the finalist world in, you know?
Yeah, it's a good resume, you know, been to World twice for Mithy, so he's tried a lot of different things.
He definitely has, and I'm very happy to have you here because today we will get into the second round of the Summer Promotion Tournament, where 2 best-of-5s will leave us with a pair of teams that will join the LCS Summer Split. Our first series is Splyce versus Giants. Giants, of course, victorious over the Copenhagen Wolves on Thursday, and our second match is Roccat versus Huma, both best-of-5s. Whoever wins today is in the LCS. Whoever loses gets a second or third chance for Giants tomorrow in the final day, so Sunday. But in the end, it will be 2 teams joining today, and the Giants, by that victory over the Copenhagen Wolves, at least they got themselves 2 more chances to qualify.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say it was the 2 weakest teams playing Thursday, obviously against each other, and it went all 5 games, super close, honestly, between them. I think coming into this one, I'm looking at Splyce, I'm looking at Roccat as the 2 heavy favorites to move in, back into the LCS technically for these 2 teams, where Giants, they have to pull out something different if they're going to beat Splyce today.
They have 2 Koreans.
They do.
That's basically it. I mean, maybe that's Origin's problem, you know, there's no Koreans.
Maybe. But they found out their strategy a bit too late, so they didn't have enough time to get them going, you know, feature some burgers, some nice EU food. but yeah. I think they can do all right, but I think Splyce has the upper hand.
All right, we will see what happens, and let's take a look at Splyce. They are looking to defend their seat in the Summer Split. We have Wonderwear, Trashy, Sentcox, Kavi, Nisbet, and Yamato Cannon, of course. Spring 2016, that was their first split coming out of Challenger. Of course, when we think of teams coming out of Challenger into LCS, we immediately put them against G2, who had this fantastic split. However, Splyce as a Challenger team to develop not the best record, 3 wins in the end. What did you think of their split? 5, sorry.
Yeah, 5 wins, obviously, for Splyce. Kind of expected, I feel, especially after the poor start they had where they lost so many games in a row and nothing really worked for them. And the difference between Splyce and G2, I guess, coming in was, as Mithy said before, G2 brought in 2 Koreans, and one of them ended up being the split MVP in Trick. So obviously they had a lot more impact from some of the roster changes where Trashy came in for Splyce, and while he's been okay, he's not been outstanding. So I feel like maybe for the player material, Splyce is relying more on macro strategy, which takes a lot of time to learn and obviously get better at.
Well, let's take a look at their goal differences and how they evolved over their split. Things got better. They managed to keep their head above water and accrued some positive notes in the goal difference at 15 and 20 minutes. However, not enough to put them in winning positions all the time. They did take down Fnatic in that one game. Mithy, you've played versus them a couple of times. Scrimmed, how do you think they've evolved?
Yeah, I was talking to the Fisher about it earlier, and we were talking about how I think that Splyce is a team that actually has a good mindset going into the game. They want to play the macro game. They want to out-team play the opponent, which is the right mindset to have. The main problem with Splyce right now is that, especially in the LCS, is that individually they tend to struggle, and they don't really get leads, or they just basically fall behind, as you could see in those stats. And in the meta right now, if you fall behind, it's a very, very, very hard uphill battle. And I think that we could see on the Fnatic game that as soon as Splyce got the lead, they snowballed the game close to perfectly. So I think against Giants, the individual level is very close, if not in favor of Splyce. So I think Splyce might take this one convincingly.
And also Giants has just been a solo queue team because they made so many roster changes, communication problems. Obviously, if Splyce are able to play proper macro game like lane swap and just almost win without fighting, it should look really good for them. But also just to join your point with them falling behind, I mean, mid lane for them is actually the worst in terms of CS at 10 and 20 in the league. Bot lane as well, Copy and Nisbet almost always falls behind, like 5-6 CS at 10 and then even more at 20. And it's just because individually they don't win the laning phase as hard as they maybe should do. And that's obviously because the player's skill is not the highest.
Yeah, in the beginning of the split, we looked at Sencrux a lot for being able to carry games alone, but like the other wins and that one win versus Fnatic, it was the whole team indeed that stepped up, so that's what they have to look at. Let's take a look at their opponents who took down the Copenhagen Wolves in the first round of the promotion tournament. Giants, of course, with Smitty J, Wisdom, Xpepi, Sunstar, Hustlin, and their coach Lothar. After the first game of that best of 5, we thought, hey, Giants, this is going to be good for you guys, easier than we had expected, but then it turned down to a full 5-game set. What do you think it was, the Fisho, that they couldn't hold on to that level of game 1?
I mean, again, it's when you are a very new team, and as I said before, it becomes very solo queue, it becomes very inconsistent in your performance. And over BO5, of course, consistency is so important.
And pressure.
Pressure as well, obviously playing on stage.
Pressure is very important.
If you lose that first BO5, you're straight out of the tournament and you're into a Challenger Series. So obviously there's a lot of things in there for Giants. They just made some poor decisions, you know, sometimes it was back calls, messing up a lane swap, and obviously Copenhagen Wolves did the same, and that's why it went the full 5 games. And then I guess Pinoy jinxed it all by saying one more game. They were 2-1, and then they lost the 2 games.
Yeah, very unlucky there. They did exploit the mid lane, of course, banning out K-Drill and then shutting him down. Xpepi was also the MVP of the series, so therefore, as much as we criticized the coach and maybe Lothar in the beginning or during the split, they made some right decisions there. What do you think? Is this going to be able to tilt that matchup if we look at Splyce being a fighting team? Can he alone do it?
No, I think Splyce has played against a lot of really good mid laners in Europe throughout the whole LCS, and they know how to handle a good mid laner, which Sencrux is one too, and I'm sure he's going to be able to handle Pepe better than K-Drill did. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for Splyce, but I do think that if Giants get their game, I think they really should avoid lane swap, and they should just play their game, because I think they're playing very solo queuish right now, which is bad, but at the same time, it's okay. You know, like if you actually get that style and you get a lead, you can snowball it in this meta. So just get that style, get going, and they can take it.
We just have to remember, Splyce already played Giants in the LCS.
They're 2-0.
You know, they're 2-0. They've seen this team over and over. There's no surprises for Splyce going into this, where maybe with like Copenhagen Wolves and Giants, we'd be like, okay, these teams maybe haven't played each other. So there are some things you always figure out on stage that you don't notice just from watching a VOD. It shouldn't be the case here. These teams know each other. And again, as we have said before, it's two opposites. It's like the team game for Splyce, macro focus, and then there's the solo queue individual talents from Giants. But I don't think those players are good enough to make that big of an impact. So I definitely give it over to Splyce.
Okay, Splyce for you, Mithy?
Splyce.
Splyce? Okay, we will see what happens. It is time for the first in this best of 5 series. And as we head inside, we'll get Xpepi's thoughts on his second promotion tournament matchup.
Sí, la verdad es que no creo que Splyce sea un equipo que nos gane con diferencia, así en plan como equipo y eso, porque también tiene sus fallos, así que, no sé, va a ser una partida en la que estamos muy igualados en realidad, porque ambos estilos son parecidos y... sí, o sea, podemos ganarles, pero también nos pueden ganar porque son buenos, pero va a estar justo.
Well, they've held on before. We'll see if they